This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Right, Anthony. Let's talk a little Heat. We'll get to the draft in just a minute. I was just talking about the Steinlein report from yesterday that the Heat could have some interest in Kyrie, and you and I have talked about this, and I've told you how stoned I think Ira is, thinking that I think it's Ira Spicoli now is what I'm going to call him for Kyrie Irving, and I was talking about this, and I know it gets a little political. I don't mind if you don't want to take your vaccine. That's your choice. That's fine. I'm on the Charlotte Hornets. You don't want to take a vaccine, or the Washington Wizards, or the Detroit Pistons. I'm good. Now, I'm playing for the Heat. I'm playing for the Sixers. I'm playing for the Golden State Warriors. I'm playing for a contender, and you don't want to take the vaccine. I'm pissed. I'm pissed because you're not helping us win. You're not sacrificing. And when I look at Kyrie Irving, I don't see a player that is going to sacrifice for his team all the way. And I talked a little bit about this. I covered Tim Hardaway while he had plantar fasciitis, and he was playing with plantar fasciitis until it completely finally tore off his foot. You know what I mean? I saw Jason Taylor play with plantar fasciitis. I saw Ed Perry blow out a knee ligament and go back out onto the field and snap a ball on a dime for a key field goal to win a game. You know, I've seen players get all effed up and still go out there and play the game hurt. Like we saw Bam come back hurt a couple of years ago. We saw Goran come back hurt a couple of years ago. It takes a certain dedication to be a part of this team in many different ways. I'm not exactly sure that you're going to get that kind of dedication from Kyrie Irving like I've seen from other Heat players in the past. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, how could you argue against that? He hasn't been available much recently, right? So how could you have any sense of security if you acquire him and believe that he's going to play 70 plus games? You know, I mean, is it possible? Sure. I mean, obviously it's possible, but I think that's the huge question. If he would have played 75 games last season, there would be, 29 other teams in line waiting to trade for him. But right now, I think that's the concern with any team that's looking or interested in him is how many games is he going to play? How committed is he going to be? And honestly, I think Kyrie is, again, one of the most gifted players in the league. One-on-one, you could argue he's the best ISO player in the NBA. He can get you a bucket in any situation. He will make pretty much any team better when he's right. But you don't know if he's going to be available, and that's huge. So, yeah, I agree with you in that sense that
I'm watching Butler and Tucker. They're all effed up, dude.
Right.
And they continue to fight through, and Tucker's 800 years old. And he will, and you will sign him, and you will give him the 3-year contract, and you know that third year will probably be absolutely
sure, he's going to be 40 years old. Yeah.
Right. But if he can play at 40, that mother effer will be out there dragging his ass out there, giving you everything that he's got. And you honor things like that. You will fight for things like, and the Heat honor things like that. You know what I mean? Because we've watched those guys. We watched Alonzo Mourning get a freaking kidney replaced, dude, and then come back and show the kind of fire to go help and be the most important center in the 06 championship, by the way. Just want you to know that because you go back and watch those 6 games against Dallas. The most important center was Alonzo Mourning, not Shaquille O'Neal, actually. So, I've just watched this over and over again over the years with so many different players. I remember Radek Dvorak. So I'm covering the Panthers, and one of those he gets smashed into the wall. So I don't know if you've covered hockey, but in the middle, in the intermission periods, they'll hand you a sheet about who's injured and what the injury update is.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Radek Dvorak, lost tooth, bruised jaw, broken nose, lacerated face.
Available.
Right. Return probable. Mother
Incredible.
effer was. And by the way, back in those days, I bet you he suffered a concussion with the
Right.
shot he took when
Sure.
he broke his nose and everything against the glass, and he had a bruised jaw, lost teeth. That mother effer suffered a concussion. But this was 20 years ago, where they go, all right, yeah, I'm ready to go. You know, that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
it says probable return. You know, I don't think people realize what these guys go through sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
Even
hockey's different too. You can't even compare the NBA to hockey. Hockey is a different.
no. Hey, but you're
Yeah,
gonna tell me that
right.
you're gonna tell me that Jimmy Butler couldn't play hockey, right? You know, Jimmy Butler's the kind of toughness that you need in
Yeah.
hockey. Is what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
and he'll go out there and he'll play injured, and that's my problem with Kyrie Irving. I don't see a man that is truly selling out for his team. I understand everything about the talent. I don't think only an idiot would argue his talent. Can't
Sure.
argue his talent,
Yeah.
but his commitment. And to me, that's half the battle with the Miami Heat, my brother. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't
And
say you're committed, you won't work in the ticket office if you're not committed, my brother.
yeah. And it's not even injuries, Big O, right? I mean, he really didn't miss many games for injuries last year. Was the vaccine issue, different personal things, personal leave because of various reasons. There really weren't injuries. It
No,
was other issues. So yeah, I mean, I know that Mark Stein is very credible. A level is believed to have a level of interest is a very kind of
right,
vague term. I mean, yeah, of course, if
right.
the Nets will take, Duncan Robinson and some other cap filler, and yeah, of course he would be interested. But the question is, would they give up Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and Kyle Lowry for him and a first round pick?
No,
It's
no.
hard to believe, honestly, for me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not. This is me just my belief right now. That's hard to believe personally. That's my opinion.
I
And
personally,
even you see,
I would
and
come on the next day and say Pat Riley has lost his mind. That's what I would say
right,
right after that.
yeah, and you look at like Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN. He's reporting the Lakers, the Knicks, the Clippers, the Heat just aren't popping up. Yes, Kyrie probably is interested in going to Miami. Why not? They're a great team. They have a good organization, good city. He was interested back when he was trying to get out of Cleveland in Miami. Miami was also on the list then. But it doesn't necessarily mean the Heat are that interested, right? So I think we have to take a step back, see how this
Does,
plays out. I still feel
by
like
the way,
the
does
most
Kyrie?
probable outcome
Wait
is
a minute,
Kyrie
hold on
goes
a
back to
second.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
No, but does Kyrie know that we have rising tides here? Because that might not allow him to play. Then, the tides are a little too high, and Las Olas and people in Miami Beach are suffering some flooding. That might cause Kyrie to say, "Oh, there's too much flooding going on in South Florida. It's on my mind. I can't play." I don't know if he knows that. We have some effects here going on in South Florida from rising
Yeah.
tides. So I don't know,
You can find something everywhere these days, right? In any city, you could find something. But I was gonna say like I think the most probable outcome is he ends up back in Brooklyn. To me, I see this as a leverage play, right? He's trying to get the most money out of Brooklyn. He's trying to back them into a corner. Now, obviously, the Durant storyline of if Kyrie
Well,
leaves, Durant's gonna leave. Like it's putting a lot of pressure on Brooklyn to get this done, and I think it's gonna end up with probably Brooklyn coming to making concession and kind of conceding to Kyrie, and both those guys will be back next season there.
how about this? If you're Brooklyn's front office, you're saying, well, if they're going to pull a power play on us, we already know what this does for us. This doesn't pay off for us. So why are we going to get on the same ride over and over again? I mean, the definition of insanity is actually, doing the same thing over and over again. So really, if you're the Nets, as painful as it might be, maybe you do have to say, well, dude, if you're pissed off too, we'll trade you also. And then you could get the world for Durant at
Oh
least.
yeah, for sure.
So at least you're going to get a ton in return to try to then revitalize this team and push it in another direction, because bringing Durant and Kyrie back you already know what that blueprint is. That doesn't work. So why would you try to do this all over again? And not only that, you would then have to lock it up in a position that you could never get out again. Because once you give Kyrie that long-term deal and he flakes out on you one more time, nobody will ever pick up that contract ever again. So now you're stuck with the life of that contract. And you're now John Walling it like they are now,
in Houston.
in Houston, where now they've got to talk finally about a buyout here in his final year. Yeah, so they could get him out of hell. He didn't even play last year. They didn't even want to risk it. You know what I mean? So now they've got an opportunity to get a buyout and get him the hell out. So don't you think that maybe there's a chance here that this whole thing is going to get blown up in Brooklyn now instead?
Yeah, I guess it's possible, but I think if Brooklyn looks at it, they'll try to justify it as Kyrie barely didn't play last year. James Harden was an issue. He got traded. We didn't have James Harden for most of the season. If Kyrie's available, if Ben Simmons is available, and Kevin Durant is healthy, I mean, they were an inch away from making the NBA Finals 2 years ago, right? With just Kyrie and KD. James Harden wasn't even available. He was injured. Oh, no, sorry. I think Kyrie was out, actually. James Harden was available, but he was very limited with a hamstring injury. So I think if they probably will say, if we have two of those three guys available, we're one of the best teams in the East. Whether that's right or not, I'm sure they still believe that, because last year was such a weird season for them. It really was. It's hard to base anything off of it. But there are so many question marks around Kyrie Irving, so many question marks around Ben Simmons, that it's hard to really project anything, because you just don't know with those two guys how many games they'll be able to play.
Let me ask you something. Kyrie Irving, head case. Ben Simmons, head case. Kevin Durant, head case. Are the Nets a basketball team or a psych ward?
It'd be interesting to cover. A team that's interesting to cover, that's for sure.
Really?
A lot of storylines, right? I'm sure they get a lot of...
I know. It's just, I've had a lot of those shitty storylines here in South Florida over the years.
Right.
They're not fun, bro. They're not. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a hometown guy,
right,
and I really want the teams to win. Sure, I'll be brutally honest, and I'll tell you, hey, this team's not good. That coach doesn't deserve it. That player is not good enough. I'll tell you brutally honest what I think about a team, but deep down inside, I want them all to win and have good times. And it's a lot. Dude, I've been at this a long time, Anthony. It's a lot more fun walking into locker rooms that are winning and things are going well.
Oh, definitely.
The vibe is so much better. The players will talk. The coaches are a little looser.
Yeah.
Everything's when there's chaos and turmoil and all that, everybody clams up. Everybody becomes a jerk. Everybody gets uptight. The job of the media is near impossible. You become the enemy. The fans are frustrated. It's not fun, dude. I mean, when people tell you, oh, no, controversy is good for you guys. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but personally for me, it's not fun, man.
For sure. Yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. It's always the job is easier when the team is winning. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I like it when it's a good vibe, man.
Yeah. But you want to either be really good, right? Like the Heat were this year, or I guess kind of what the Nets are. You just don't want to be in the middle where nobody cares.
Yeah, I've covered both. I've been in the great locker rooms. I've been in the shitty locker rooms. I've been in the championship locker rooms. I've been in the losing locker rooms, and I could deal with the losing locker room. I can deal with a loss. I can deal with winning and all that. But then when you start getting into the bully gates and money laundering, and you start getting into all kind of domestic violence and sexual assault, and you start getting into all those kind of things, it's just it's not fun anymore. It's not sports anymore. You know what I mean?
No,
that's to me. So covering Brooklyn, you know what? I feel bad for the fans, because you've been so terrible for so long. Then you had the Russian owner that you thought he was going to get it on track, and he was all bravado, and it didn't work out. And then now it looked like you maybe were trying to put together the right thing, and this whole thing's blown up, and you may be even forced to get rid of your top 2 stars. I mean, being a Nets fan, my brother, wow, that's torturous right there.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they obviously had high hopes 3 years ago when they put this team together, and I mean, there's a chance this offseason it could come crashing down. So yeah, I'm sure it's not. 3 years ago would have been fun to be a Nets fan, but right now, not so fun.
All right, well, 25, 35 years ago, when we used to go into the draft, it was great. It was fun because we'd seen these guys 3-4 years. We knew what the hell we were getting and all that. I was talking about this years ago when the Heat drafted George Ackles in the second round. I watched George Ackles for 4 years run with Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and Anderson Hunt and go up against Duke's 2 straight years and all that. And that was like, amazing. So I knew who the hell George Ackles was. Nowadays, you don't know who the second pick of the overall draft is. Forget the second round. So I'm not going to ask you, yo, bitch, because that's what I'm going to call him now, Nicola. Yo, bitch. I'm not going to ask you what Nicola is because you don't know anything about Nicola. But
I was watching Serbian basketball all year. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, break it down, Serbian. No, but one thing I when I'm watching Pat Riley, I can rewind over the years for 25 years. And anytime he's talking about defense and long, he loves it, dude. It doesn't matter who it is from the Lamar Odom days or whatever. He loves his players being long. And so that's one of the things he talked about with that kid yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they have hope that he can be a plus defender, right? It's not his strength right now. He needs to add weight. He's 19 years old. He needs to learn how to play defense in the NBA. But the thing that really sold him, it seems like, you talk to Adam Simon, who's assistant general manager and is kind of the head of the, of the scouting team that prepares for the draft, and obviously Pat Riley, and they pointed to his skill set offensively. He's very gifted, like very talented. A guy who was a guard growing up, and then grew 7-8 inches, and now is 6'11". He has a good handle. He knocks down threes. Good catch and shoot player. Can drive by guys. Can play in the open court. Is a good passer. So offensively, he's very talented. And I think that's what really sold the Heat. And Pat did say he's a developmental player. So I don't know if it's fair to expect him to contribute consistently next year as a 19-year-old in the NBA. It might take him a few years. He might play a few games here and there, but the 27th pick, right? I mean, it's like you can't expect to get a guy who's going to be, your sixth man at number 27. So I think it was an upside pick, and they'll hope that he turns into a guy that they could, rely on maybe in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, or maybe also a guy that they know several teams are interested in.
That too, sure. Yeah.
So it might be something part of a mixer in the future too. At the same time, and by the way, will we see him next month when we're in Vegas?
I believe so. Obviously, it's still early. I haven't confirmed yet. He hasn't even made his way into Miami yet, but I believe that's the plan for him to play in Summer League. So we should get our first shot to look at him and watch him play and get to learn about him a little bit more in a few weeks.
Yeah, that'll be cool. All right, good. I get to see him. I'm looking forward to seeing what the vibe is in the Vegas Summer League, man, because it always, from afar, it looks like Vegas is vibing because there's so many fans from all over the league. I'm sure, especially on the West Coast, a lot of fans are going over there overall, and then obviously a ton of media members and NBA people. So it looks like Vegas is vibing during that time.
Yeah, you're walking through casinos and there's just NBA players just randomly walking around. It's like the entire NBA world is there. It's pretty fun.
Okay. All right, good. So I have to have my recorder ready at all times, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. You can run into anybody at any point that week for sure.
All right, I'll sit down in a blackjack table with the other players and do an interview right in the middle of the blackjack table.
Yeah. I'm sure the dealer would like that.
What are you working on over at the Herald, my brother, so folks can check you out?
We have a running list right now of the undrafted guys the Heat have received commitments from. Obviously, they're trying to build their summer league roster. The hours after the draft, the day after the draft is all about getting your top undrafted guys, or as many as you can, to play in summer league with you. Obviously, the Heat has had a lot of success with that, so that's something that's up on the website. And also, just more info on Nikola Jovic.
Jovic.
I will have another story on him. We talked to Adam Simon last night, who again scouted this kid, probably knows more about him than everybody in the organization. And I'll have a story on that later as well at MiamiHerald.com.
And that's, to me, that's what a buddy of mine asked me yesterday. Well, what do you know? I go, I don't know shit about this guy, bro. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
All I know is I trust the Heat.
Sure.
And that's it. More often than not, they're going to get it right. More often than not, they'll get the most out of players. They're not going to be perfect because nobody's perfect. But damn, they're really good. So more often than not, they're going to get it right. So they must see something in this kid that they like, and they're going to develop. And by the way, we need a stretch four.
Yeah, so, he fits. Yeah, he fits. And he hasn't looked you've seen what the Heat have done with undrafted players that might not be as talented. This kid is talented. He has a very good base of a skill set, and started playing basketball at 13. He's 19. Late bloomer. He's going to get better. He's going to grow into his body. He's already a very gifted offensive player. So let's see what the developmental program can do with this type of talent. It'll be interesting to see.
Let's find out. All right, follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chiang. And, of course, you better subscribe there to the Miami Herald and support him out there. Anthony, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up next week. Have a fantastic weekend.
You too, Big O. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There you go, the great Anthony Chiang. And don't forget Liquor Split, a flat fee of $2.99. That is Miami's liquor store. Download the app, iOS or Android, Liquor Split. This weekend, you're drinking, you're hanging out. Don't get behind the wheel. Stay at home, stay in the office, stay in the meeting. Pick up your app, hit it. And, of course, order it, baby. A little extra wine, some beer, some whiskey, some vodka, you name it, some snacks. They've got it all there at liquorsplit.com. Tap that app. That's your Liquor Split Miami Heat report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.